Hello, and welcome to GeekVerse Sidequest, your weekly stop for video game news, reviews, and more here on the GeekVerse Podcast Network. I'm your host, the King, Captain, Soldier, Spy, Dylan Muss, and today I'm joined by an unnicknamed, the Snappin', Travis Snell. Welcome to a little late-night Friday Sidequest. It's kind of a fun combo. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. I'm happy this is happening because currently we were watching Pinocchio, and I was happy to get away from that. No, I was
Which
happy
Pinocchio?
To get the Disney one that came out this week with Tom Hanks and I almost said Tom Cruise. That would have been a very different Pinocchio, but yeah, if you don't have kids, don't worry about it. Don't watch it. And it's like there's 20 minutes left. They're gonna do that. Go to bed. But yeah, we will review it. I'll just say it's a little lifeless. That's what it was. It was tough.
I like it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, we can look forward to the Guillermo one. That's still this year, right?
This
so
fall,
that one might be a bit more interesting.
Exactly.
But yeah, for today, earlier today, very relevantly, Disney, Marvel, their first ever games showcase that they did today was about 25 minutes worth of showing off all sorts of things from obviously Marvel, Disney, Pixar stuff, but then also a little bit of Star Wars in there, some Avatar, some other lower key, I guess, IP that technically Disney owns, like Alien and Tron and stuff like that. So
you forget how much they own until they do stuff like this. When they're like, look at all these different games. You're like, oh, right, you own this and this. We even had someone in the Discord like, when did they get Aliens? Like, oh, yeah, they got that like 3 years ago. Like, it's theirs now, you know? So, and like Predator they own. So it's weird stuff, but
it's good stuff. So we're going to break all of that down to get some plugs out of the way. Obviously, Sidequest usually doesn't. We're recording Friday. I think I'm going to put it up right away, so it'll be up Friday night. But this week's regular Sidequest was a little fall gaming preview. We talked about some other stuff as well. And then Saturday of the 10th of September is the Ubisoft Forward, which will be covered on the regular Tuesday Sidequest with me and Taylor. And if anyone else wants to join, they're welcome to. And then also, I believe this Sunday, the 11th, is when the next Out of Mana episode will be recorded, so that'll be up on Patreon nice and early, probably on Sunday or Monday. And then if not, it'll go hit the free feeds later in the week. So there's your gaming forecast for the next few days. On the main feed, all sorts of stuff. She-Hulk, Andor starting pretty soon. The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, House of Dragons, all those TV shows. The regular newscast, Town Hall, tons and tons of crazy stuff. It's a good time. Thank you to Taylor for doing the thumbnails, especially today. He really speed ran them as I waited until after the showcase before I put any images in for him to do. So he crushed it there. It's a nice one. Thank you to Amanda who does the music for the show. Make sure to leave a review, join that Patreon, join the Discord, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Travis, anything else you'd like to shout out? I guess D23 is probably worth shouting out as well.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with D23 again?
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're listening to this, you could be. I imagine you're gonna listen to them at the same time because it's small in between. But 10 a.m. PST is when that thing goes live, but then we'll do a podcast live immediately. And I know I'll be watching some along. I'm sure some people will join me just to have some fun because I'll be on my phone anyways. But yeah, so this weekend lots of D23 centric stuff and everything like that. No, I was just shaking my head because I'm just jealous of Amanda. She got to see John Williams in the Hollywood Bowl this week. So
whoa, that's cool.
Because I didn't know that she went to Los Angeles after her trip and stuff like that. So
she's busy. Yeah,
she must have made a stop. So I'm excited to bump into her next. I'm sure usually her and Sarah's come over for the charity stream. No, probably see her before then because I feel like we're gonna do some Halloween activities. But I'm excited to talk to her because man, she's traveling the world. But I just look at my Instagram and I'm just jealous. You know, I watched Mamma Mia and I was like, I want to go to Greek, and then she did that, and then John Williams playing the Hollywood Bowl, which is like this legendary thing, and she got to see it. It's like
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so she's
we're very lucky to have her beautiful music for Sidequest and maybe future shows in the future. I said that weirdly.
People don't know that she's like she's won
various
living.
awards.
She's a composer.
She's an amazing composer. Yeah.
Like I already talked to her. It's like when we make our GeekVerse movies, like we're gonna be paying her to compose our stuff. Like she's an actual composer and she does the theme for this show. So we're very lucky, you know. So.
She gives us a big Friends discount. I'll tell you that much. I mean, those composer fees can be you're making a lot of great stuff, so it's definitely money well spent. Anyway, coming back over here to Sidequest. So before we talk about individually any of the games, this was the first Disney Marvel Games showcase. So I'm curious what you thought about just the general structure of it. I know they had Blessing as the host, who we're both familiar with because he's over there on Kind of Funny, and even OK Beast was his podcast before he was on Kind of Funny. I listened to that as well. So it was cool to see him up there. Good for him. But yeah, what do you think of the general structure of it, hype levels, and things like that?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say on a personal. It's cool to see where Blessing's gone from to now. Like we always talk about when we moved part time to full. He's a guy that was doing a similar thing as us, just had other jobs and was doing a podcast and stuff. So it's good. And I'll say I actually think he did a good job with what they gave him. I think you can only be so good in that, hey, you're gonna record 30 seconds and then jump to something. And it's just like, is it that cool? I think he did a good enough job. So that was fine. I thought this was pretty lackluster overall, and it's not what they showed, because I think that was good. I think it just felt very fast forward. It's almost like if me and Dylan were podcasting and I forgot to watch it and I just put it on like 5 times speed, like, okay, this is it. That's what it felt like. We're gonna talk about when like, oh, let's see some aliens. What is that game called?
Dark Descent.
Yeah, Dark Descent gameplay, and it's 5 seconds. Like that's the gameplay. It's like don't even say it. And that's like even stuff where we'll talk about the main game because that's obviously the big thing. But like even this Black Panther Captain America game, the fact that it doesn't even have a title to me is like feels super weird.
That was a very weird choice,
Yeah.
especially because it's a very confusing thing to condense down to one sentence and explain what it is. So
4
even that,
characters,
it's
2
like
worlds, Black
Yeah,
Panther,
it's-
Captain America, World War
it's
II. It's in
heavy.
the So I felt like this, and maybe it wasn't. I'd have to look back when it was announced, but this felt very thrown together, in my opinion. It felt very rookie grade. It just felt like, and production wise is fine. And I think there was some cool announcements. We got some dates. We got these games, but even then, this game, it just the pacing of they did this game and then they did the app thing, which it's all subjective. If you're looking really forward to that thing, sure. But the World War II game is the one to end on. The app one, I just felt it was like, oh, when Blessing's like, oh, we got one more premiere. I'm like, oh, this might be, which we'll talk about. I guess this might be that team game, but we've heard rumors of other Marvel games out there. So
or
it's
even
like,
an Insomniac thing would be a good way to close it out.
there's apparently like a rumored Ubisoft. Well, that's been iffy about
Star
them all,
Wars, right?
Yeah,
There
but
we
there's
go.
been like, even then, like for Marvel, I feel like there's another one. We'll
Yeah.
have to talk about it because I'm not sure now with these Wakanda rumors. That was still like for EA, and that's what we'll talk about. Either way, there's been rumblings of other games, right? Of this or Daredevil. So when he's like, we got one more Marvel thing, I'm like, oh man, we're gonna get something that maybe we are only known a little bit of. And then it was World Heroes, and it's like, oh. Like I just like, as you know, and I think Pokemon Go is like, it's great for that community and that fan base. I just don't think that's gonna have the same thing here. So I felt it was a poorly paced, not paced. It was just poorly planned out show. I think pacing was fine. It was a brisk 23 minutes, but I was like you, where I had my expectations pretty low, but they didn't even hit that. I was pretty disappointed with what we got today, to be honest.
Yeah.
But fun stuff to talk about as far as some dates and stuff, which we're gonna break down.
Yeah, I think for me it was very much quality over quantity. We got a ton of things. Really, honestly, a great reminder of like, okay, how many games are announced that we know about that are within that Disney Marvel umbrella? Like, there's a ton of them.
Yes.
And so they showed a lot of them off, but I felt like for maybe 90% of the games, I didn't gain any substantial information that is either, okay, now I have a release date to look forward to, or I know a lot more about the gameplay, or I'm more excited about this. It just felt like, remember this game? Yeah, we are Disney, so we have an avatar. We have avatars, so we're going to
Yes.
show you this for a minute, even though there's nothing in here for you to like chew on. So there's a bit of that. And then I think just on a personal level, really it was the 2 big Marvel things. One of them was just a release date also. That kind of, that got me hyped, but everything else was just okay. And yeah, a lot of mobile games. We'll talk about that. There was like, I think 5 or 6 mobile games, and like
Yes,
they had good hooks and stuff like that too. But then I found out they're mobile games. I'm like, well, okay, I'm not too interested in that then.
Yeah, and even stuff like, because I don't even know that's my name here. I don't even know if you have in the show notes, but like the Marvel Snap game, like that stuff felt like the bad type of E3 cheese when you had Aquafina, who I like, but just like and you know what's special about these cards? They got powers. It just lots of this stuff, and I get it because it is D23, but at the same time, kids aren't going to the majority of people are not kids at this thing. They're either people that are investors, or they're part of the D23 club, or they're media. So this thing felt very like it was aimed towards my 5-year-old, like the way they were talking about, like, look at this cool thing. It's like, I'm a 29-year-old dude. Like, I like, just because you're telling me these cards have superpowers isn't going to sell. Like, I think you could sell the Marvel card game online. I just don't think this was the way it made it. It made it feel very cheesy. It made it feel like, I wouldn't check this out. It feels like back in the day when you were embarrassed to be a comic book fan of like, look at these cool cards. It's like, you don't got to do it that way. And you paid for Aquafina. You paid, like, why? Why did they pay her for this? You know, maybe it's in a bigger contract with them, but when I heard this name, I'm like, man, that's a waste of money to just get Aquafina to talk about. You want to see Shang-Chi kick Thanos' butt? It's like, Sure, I guess. So yeah, it was strange. I hope it gets better throughout the years, but I don't have much. I felt like these were just little segments from like E3 or Summer Games Fest, and they were in other shows, but they just took them and threw them into here. You know, like when
Yeah.
they do. So weird showcase.
Yeah, I mean, at least the thing for me that I think is good about this, this is the first of its kind, and I feel like we have a good, we know what to expect at this point now, where you might get a couple, what we'll say, bigger things like big console AAA games, but then you're gonna get a lot of updates on things that you've seen before. And I mean, we didn't really get like any release dates in here, I felt like, but I also feel like we're at a point right now in gaming where release dates are almost meaningless, right? Until
Yes.
you get that tweet from the developer that says, "We have gone gold. Here's a picture
Yeah.
of the disc." Then everything is subject to move. Even Midnight Suns, like, okay, we're kicking it down the road, and actually we're bringing it forward now, which also
So
happened with
strange,
Xenoblade
yeah.
earlier this year, where they brought that
Yeah.
forward a month. So yeah, release dates are just a total mess. So I mean, I still, in theory, I want to get them because then I have something to plan for, even though they do feel like they're just on faltering ground, like they can just fall at any point.
And I will say, because I felt like there's a lot of disappointment by this, and I said this to a bunch of people, and I'm going to say this every time: do not expect Spider-Man or Wolverine at any of these things. Maybe in the future for like a little preview, but like those big reveals and unveilings, Sony wants to do
Yeah,
that at
that's
their
fair.
showcases, or maybe even like a Game Awards the most. I just felt like they wouldn't. I didn't feel like they were going to give that away today, because I feel like, yes, it is still Disney. They own those characters, but that's the Sony brand, and they really want to tie, and that's their big showcase, and they're the ones funding those games and putting the most work behind them. So there's just tons of people that were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna see some," like, because I know people like we're seeing Spider-Man footage soon, because I think yesterday was like the anniversary of Spider-Man 1, and so many people worked themselves into a shoot of like, we're gonna see something this week, and I just never thought that. I think we'll get it at a showcase, and I think it will be soon, but not
That's
here.
fair.
Yeah.
I was thinking like maybe we see Spider-Man. I thought Wolverine 0% chance, but
Yeah.
Spider-Man, just because I am expecting that to come out next year, so I thought maybe they would start it here. But you make a good point. I think Sony does want that. I just don't know exactly how that stuff works in terms of the marketing thing. Like maybe when they
Yes.
sign the contract for it, it's like we get to exclusively show the first gameplay. Like I don't know how any of that stuff's gonna work, so you just never know what to expect. But I think once we've seen like at least one reveal for it, I think the next time they do a Disney Marvel showcase, we'd expect to see more of that. Do you think this is something that would be we should expect to see like every D23 now they're going to do this? Are they going to do it more often than that? Do they like do something like that at Comic-Con? Like what do you expect? Do you expect this to be like branded like the Nintendo Direct is, like the State of Play is, and become a thing that we can expect every like multiple times a year?
Not yet. I think they're going to see how some of these titles work out sales wise and go
Okay.
from there. I think this still would be smart to do that, because you just get more eyes on it. So I wouldn't be completely, I'm not completely on a 0% never going to happen, but I feel like from now they're going to stay at D23, maybe timed with another event, but they also just appear in other game conferences, right? So I'll say it's stay at a D23 for now. That's my prediction.
Okay. Yeah, I mean I do expect this now, like at least that yearly basis. I don't think I'd be shocked to see them do it more often, but I think you make a good point. See how successful this was in terms of the numbers and how these games are doing and stuff. But I just feel like there's so many, like Star Wars was very much absent here, and there's a ton of those games that we know exist. But then again, I also felt like one reason I wasn't expecting any Star Wars stuff today is I just think if they called it Disney Marvel Showcase, I thought if it was going to be a big Star Wars show or like there's going to be some big AAA thing, I think they would have put that in the title of it as well, just to get the clicks and stuff. But instead they just had Lego Star Wars, which we'll talk about. So I wonder if that would be a thing too, where they just brand them differently depending on the need. Like maybe we're doing a Star Wars game showcase or something like that. In the
that could
future,
happen.
it's like just 10-15 minutes where it's
Yeah.
just Star Wars. I could see that happening.
Well, and that could happen because they also got Star Wars Celebration, right? So you could kind of save some things for there. Where Marvel,
When is that usually?
next year it's next April, the next one. So
Okay,
April
that's actually a good
2023.
timing. Then offsets the D23 timing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where Marvel doesn't have that, right? They don't have a Avengers Con or Marvel Con, which I think they should do in the future and rip off Miss Marvel. But yeah, I was like, I wasn't expecting much, but I still thought we'd even get like at least something else for Star Wars, just like even a little nugget of just anything. And really, it's been dry. We have all these Star Wars games announced, but
It's just been pretty quiet on them.
yeah,
for sure,
like I'm sure some of them are coming, but it's just between the remake being delayed and then just hearing nothing on the Ubisoft game or Amy's game, all this stuff. It's just what's going on over here, But
Yeah.
Jedi Fallen Order 2 next year can happen.
Very much, yeah. Looking forward to that one. Okay, let's take our first ad break here, then we'll start talking about these games. We are back. I'm going to go out of order today. Sometimes, usually for these showcases, I do go in order, but we're going to break that up today. We're not going to talk about everything. I'm just going to maybe pick out our individual highlights. So let's start with Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Yes.
So this game in, I believe it was August, mid-August, they kicked it down the road. And when it happened, I was getting the vibe that this was not because the game is having issues and needs more time. It just came out of one of those investor meetings, and it seemed like they just wanted to kick it down the road for like financial quarter stuff. Like that seemed like the reason to me, and I'm feeling pretty confident in that assumption now, considering that it got bumped from October to a new date of December 2nd. It really sounded like it was going to be next year, first quarter. But no, it's coming out December 2nd of this year. And then the only other really new thing they showed off with it this time was that there is a prequel series they're doing, an animated prequel series, which I think looks really cool. And I'm curious to see how much is involved with that. And that's going to come out October 31st as a premiere. That's really all we know right now. Is that a weekly thing? How many episodes? Is it just the premiere? And that's one thing. Not exactly sure. And that actually could have been a thing. Maybe that was part of the delay too, is the animated thing wasn't ready to go. Although I don't know if they would want to delay their game because of that. But I'm very excited about this release date. I don't love that it's on the same day as Callisto Protocol, as we both were talking about in our chat, that I think I'm not getting Callisto Protocol anymore, at least at launch. So that's too bad. But this was a huge surprise for me. Is that surprising for you as well?
Absolutely. I'd fully committed to it's next year. That's what I was, just the way they were making it sound, but just myself, like, okay, this makes sense. But even the show thing, I don't think you could be wrong, because I always thought too, I know it's not the exact same game, but I always thought being like a week within Gotham Knights was not good for either game. I thought for the superhero stuff, like if you're just someone that buys superhero genre stuff, having that game and then Gotham Knights be, 7-8 days apart, I think 2 months is a lot better. Christmas, maybe you can try and get some of those Christmas purchases and everything like that. So I was shocked about this. I'm happy, like you said. I was bummed because I was trying to hope that, if I got time, I'll get Callisto, and I really like what I see there. But I'll probably just put that on the back burner, play this, and then maybe the new year step into, because the good thing is that won't be in the Game Awards conversation. So when we do the Game Awards show, they won't be talking about Midnight Suns or Callisto. So I'll have a whole year to talk about it. But I think the only thing I take away from this is I've watched some of those gameplay reels. I felt like they're trying to make the card system feel a lot quicker, and I don't know if it's actually that quick, but in the trailer they're making it look a lot more action packed.
The music was so intense. I was just laughing how they having these big heroic themes, and then it's just like a guy dragging a thing across the screen, which I to me was always a marketing thing of I think where people were complaining there weren't seeing enough gameplay and stuff, and I always just felt like this was a hard one for them to market, and I think once again they showed that here. That I think the good thing for them is showing off all the characters, showing the customization, the RPG elements. I think that's a good thing to show, but it is hard to market a big superhero action thing when you are playing with cards and it's turn-based and all that stuff.
That's the biggest thing I took away, is that they don't necessarily know how to market this game. But I think what was smart, they did show a lot of gameplay, but I think the other thing they hit hard on is what you're talking about, was the RPG elements. And like the tagline for this was "Every choice matters." So like I said, I think that can get some people. I'm very curious to see how this does once it gets releases, because I feel like it has kind of like a uphill battle, because I feel like there's people like us that, for myself, I'm open to this and I want to try this. Like, this is a right way for me to try this type of game in the Marvel universe. I like the universe, the characters, but for people, I feel like lots of general audience look at superhero games of majority are just beat 'em ups with cool characters and designs, right? So it'll be interesting, because Avengers didn't do the greatest and Guardians reviewed very well but didn't sell the greatest. It's going to be interesting, like even just from a business standpoint, if this kind of does lackluster too, does Disney kind of go, you know what, I don't like, maybe it's not even worth us to be investing so much in this. But then you have Spider-Man that did really well. So, and Wolverine, I think that will do very well as well. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see how this game goes, but I'll begin this day one, and I'm excited to talk about this in December.
Yeah, I mean, I think the XCOM games were quite successful, so hopefully there's a lot of crossover there of the people that are interested enough in those kinds of mechanics that they will go over and try Midnight Suns, and then you'll grab the Marvel people. And maybe that's a good way for it to work. And they have Scarlet Witch in there, and Doctor Strange and Wolverine, Cap, like a ton of big
Blade.
characters. And then I love that they also have those like deep cut characters too, but they do have a lot of people that you can throw in that beautiful box art that we've talked about and sell that way.
And was this the first time they showed that you could customize the hunter? Because I
No,
may
they've
have
shown
missed
that a
Okay, so
lot.
I've
I don't know
missed
if they've
that.
shown like they did that quick cut where they showed
Heads
each
and hair
frame.
changing.
Yeah, I don't know if they've shown that, but I think maybe not in a trailer though. So that's a good point. I know I've just watched a lot of they've put out
Okay.
tons of videos on this game that just flying under the radar on their YouTube channel. So I don't know if they've had that necessarily in the trailers. Maybe a quick cut as well. But.
Well, that's cool. I like that a little bit better because I've always said before, like, this game will fit it. But when so many games in the past, oh, you don't play as your heroes, you play as your own created character. Like, I don't know. But I can find a bit more enjoyment out of it. It's not just we create the hunter and you're going to like her. I can make my own hunter. Like I can make her look the way I want, hair, outfit, stuff like that. So I think that's a little cool. And it adds an RPG element. So I'm hoping this game like picks up a lot of steam as kind of like a sleeper hit. And I know it sounds weird for Marvel, but I just feel like it's because once they revealed those cards, I had so many people message me and be like, yeah, that's not for me anymore, so that's why I feel like it's an uphill battle. I think it's a lot of games that people might pick up when it's half off or on a Games Pass or something like that, but hopefully, like you said, they find that base and it kind of and hopefully it's just good. That's the other thing. Like, it has to be good first, so.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like a fanboy, but I really hope that people don't just write the game off because it has cards in it, because to me it's the cards seem like it's such a tight-knit system where you have such few cards in like each game, each hand, whatever it is, that it's really just a slightly different way of like showing a menu of the options that you have at any given time. It just looks like cards. So I don't know. I mean I have not played the game, but it just seems that way to me. So I hope that is the case, and hopefully people give it a chance, because I don't think it will be a deck builder game in the same way that most games that have cards are. That's just like their framing tool for your limited moveset that you have each turn. So
And
we'll
like
see how that
and
goes.
like what SPUB says in the chat, that's the experience I had like many with their Discord, but same with GUA and just my timeline. It's like anytime these cards come up, people just seem to check out, and it's just like, and I was taken aback by them, but I was like, okay, I'm willing to, like I said, if I'm going to try this system, this is the time for me to do it in Marvel because I'm a big fanboy. But I feel like hopefully that's where the word of mouth and good reviews could come in. People go, oh, maybe I will check this out. But if it gets like a lot of like sevens, I can see a lot of people being like, yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the card system. It's kind of getting just good reviews. I'll pass, so.
So we will keep an eye on that one. That one we'll
Yes.
have a review for sure. Maybe even a couple episodes. We might do like a quick impressions episode a couple days after it comes out, and then a deeper one later on. And I'm curious where we'll be in my game of the year, because that was my most anticipated game in the last couple months here.
It's back.
And it's
that
back,
wasn't in your fall preview, yeah.
But yeah, it's coming out so late that I don't know how much time I'll get with it,
it's-
but I'll try and make as much time as I can. Moving on to the next Marvel thing. So Skydance New Media. This is Amy Hennig's studio. So she was the creative director / writer of Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. Finally got some more information on her game. So I'm just going to read this little blurb. Skydance New Media and Marvel Entertainment's upcoming narrative-driven ensemble adventure game is set in the Marvel Universe and features an original story that will take players on a World War II era adventure with 4 playable heroes at different points in the story. A young Steve Rogers, a.k.a. Captain America, Azuri, T'Challa's grandfather and the World War II era Black Panther, Gabriel Jones, a U.S. soldier and member of the Howling Commandos, and Nanali, leader of the fledgling Wakandan spy network. Skydance New Media is helmed by award-winning writer and director Amy Hennig. This title marks the first initiative from the new AAA game studio. So we just got a cinematic, so we don't have any gameplay.
Very light cinematic at that too, just showing like a desk, a map, a shield,
and then the characters that you're getting, and maybe hinting at some of the locations. So just to break down a couple more things, I listened to an interview with Amy Hennig, because one thing I was a little bit confused about from this is, okay, there's 4 characters. They're really highlighting that. Is this multiplayer game? And the answer is no. This is not a multiplayer game. It's a single-player game where you're switching between these characters, I guess, based on the mission. I don't know if you'll ever have a mission where you say get to choose between them. I'm going to guess it's much more focused, and like each level will have a certain character, or maybe you're going through this, I don't know, this certain downtown area, and you start as Captain America, halfway through the level you switch to Black Panther, something like that. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
like the opening of Avengers, pretty much. Like when you had that battle of New York there, and you're
or like GTA 5 or something like that. Some of those missions where you can kind of on the fly switch between characters. Maybe you'll get something like that. But yeah, I'm very curious about this game. We finally got some more information on it. It seems like the part of the image they're showing is like a World War II setting, Paris, and then they're showing Wakanda. Of course, we didn't see gameplay or something, but I'm guessing you're going to be playing in both of those areas. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Yeah, 4 characters, 2 worlds, 1 story or something. I forget what it was, what the last word was, but that's kind of your general setup. Travis, seems like you're not too stoked on this general idea, so I'm curious why that is.
Yeah. So like, obviously she comes with a pedigree, so I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna get it. I think there's a few things here where we'll have to wait and see, because I remember I thought those rumors about the Panther game was like an EA game, right? Like they were tied to someone there. So
Well, I think where that comes from is that Amy Hennig is teamed up with like old EA people for this, so that might be what you're thinking of, and there could be something else too that I'm not aware of, but I think that might be it.
so that my tune would completely change within the next 6-12 months if we get announced there's an actual just separate Black Panther game, because that's what I've wanted for years, like even before the movie. But when the movie came, especially, like there's something, a big world here. I like that I can play as Black Panther, and obviously it's T'Challa's grandfather, so that's great. I like the lineage and everything like that, but I just want a solo driven, even if it would have been like Uncharted with Panther, like that's what I want. So if this is the Black Panther game, I'm a little disappointed there. Um, it's funny because these 4 characters, and I knew you were gonna say that because I hadn't actually heard, but the whole, would you choose for? I'm like, no, Dylan's gonna read this and he's gonna tell me you're gonna play as all 4, and that's what it is. And my worry is, I hope that's not the case, but my worry is that when I'm playing the other 2 that aren't Cap and T'Challa, or I guess not, what is it? What they list him as? Because T'Chaka's his dad, Azuri. When I'm playing as Steve and Azuri, that I'm just when I'm not playing as them, I'm always going to miss them. So I hope they make those other characters very interesting, because I don't think it's going to be a thing where, you can choose who you get. There's going to be missions where you have to play as those 2 other characters. Now, I'm a story-driven guy, and that's where this will be good for me. They got Mark Bernard writing, who's like a pretty decent writer. So that, to me, there's a story there. I think I'm just disappointed at the idea of, we had heard these rumors about, a Black Panther game and a game that has like a team. For a team, I was hoping X-Men, Fantastic Four, Alpha Flight, like anything. A team of just Black Panther and Captain America and these 2, I won't say lower tier characters, but not superheroes. Go, okay, that's disappointing. And the idea that it's a Black Panther game is not what I was hoping. And this is the other thing too. My last point is, I can maybe be sold once I'm playing the game and how much Wakanda there is, but I really want Wakanda to be like Spider-Man's New York, Batman's Gotham, where we could just run around and explore it. I, like Last of Us, which was Naughty Dog, and then I've liked enough of what I played of Uncharted, but I know what it's going to be. It's going to be a point A to point B, so it's like, I could see Wakanda, but it could be times where it's like, I want to see Wakanda, but I'm in this big chase scene, and I don't get to really enjoy it, right? So it has a little bit to sell me. I'm still planning on buying it, because the background's there for a lot of talent, so I will give it a shot. But my hype took a little bit of a beating today, and I think it just was, like I said, seeing some trailer stuff, seeing a bit more of a cinematic, even a title, it just felt very thrown together. Like, we have nothing big for a showcase. Let's just announce her game. And, so I think overall it was kind of flat for me.
Yeah, I think those are all fair criticisms, but I think I'm on the complete other side of this.
Ooh.
I mean, I will not turn away a solo Black Panther game set in Wakanda, of course, but I really like this. I think this is a fresh idea. I think this is a lot of fun setting-wise. It's something different from what we've seen in superhero stuff, at least that I can think of in recent history.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I like. I love
World War II superhero games.
Yeah, I know, right? I obviously love Steve, but I'm down to see other versions of these characters. Where when we first got that still, I thought, oh, that's Bucky on the side with the kind of war gear. It looks like Okoye or someone on the other side. But even having a different Black Panther than I'm familiar with. It's not Bucky. It's what was his name? Gabriel
from the Howling Command.
Gabriel Jones, who I couldn't get this from the still, but he is also black, and that's something they're playing with too. Is that he's the only black member of the Howling Commandos, the only black soldier in all of the World War II setting. So I think they could do some fun stuff there. So I love that 3 of the 4 main characters are black. That's fantastic. And like, where do you get that variety? Normally, you just get one black character out of the 4, like in games like this. So I think that's fantastic. And I mean, you're not playing as a Okoye, but you're playing as what seems like a Dora Milaje character, and I'm very much down to see that moveset. I think that could be a lot of fun. Not enough games use spears. I love spears as like a weapon type, so I'm very down for that. And even Gabriel Jones, like that might seem like the most boring generic one, but at the same time, I think that could be fun to just have like a generic third-person shooter guy who has all these guns and grenades and stuff. Just like, a full game of that. Maybe we've seen it 1,000 times, but just have sections of that. Like, sure, I'm totally down for that, and obviously that fits in the kind of Uncharted realm of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sold on the idea. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
My reservations come that I'm not a big Naughty Dog guy in terms of that design ethos and the way the general gameplay feel is of things. Yeah. Obviously, story is what their games are always praised for, but to me, it's just hard to get invested because I just do not like playing the games at all. So hopefully, this new studio has just maybe some more. Because even to be fair, against Uncharted that I've played and did not like, I don't think I have not played Uncharted 4, like the newest one. Maybe I've played that. Maybe it's great. Maybe it plays fantastic. She did not work on that one, but still, just in terms of game feel and stuff. So. And even Last of Us, I haven't played Last of Us 2, so it's been a while. So maybe we're further along. I know this is not Naughty Dog, but just to say that maybe that they've come a long way in terms of the way they want to design these games. But I just remember just a lot of yellow ledges that you're climbing in those games, a lot of just kind of boring design or combat situations and things like that. So I'm really hoping for some fun gameplay, and I think at the very least the variety could get me through it, in that way. Because all 4 of these characters will probably have pretty different play styles, and I'm very much into that.
Yeah, I'm always, and that's where like the positives are. As I talk about Avengers, I'm always down to be Cap and wield that shield, one of my favorite weapons just ever. And I like that this is a Black Panther with the sword. Sometimes the character has it, sometimes it doesn't. I think that's great for this combat, and that's where you have some good points, and that's where you're still right to refer to Naughty Dog, though, because that's her history, and that's what we know her from as far as that play style. But the good thing is, I feel like she could take some of that, but if there's even some things around them that she either didn't like or went, let's change it up a little bit this time, she can, because it's her studio now, right? So, and that's where, again, I think the story, when I talk about like, I really like Spider-Man, but the story's like a little like just kind of paint by numbers, I don't think that's going to be this. And I don't think it's an accident that there's 3 black characters as well, especially I imagine the main character is going to be Red Skull, who is just like an adjacent to Hitler,
I never
right?
thought about that, yeah.
Yeah. I imagine, he's just an adjacent to Hitler who, does some pretty bad racial things. So I feel like this is going to have a deeper story. And that is what I'm looking forward to a lot. I think that's going to be really interesting. But also no even whisper of like a time or date. Like not even like this quarter of whatever. So I still think it's... I'm going to say at least 2 years, at least minimum 2 years away. That's what I'm sticking with.
I think that sounds completely fair. I don't think. I think they would have given us a name if it was something that we could expect next year. Which I think SBubs made this joke in our Discord of just calling it King Captain Soldier Spy. If that was like the subtitle, I don't even know what the subtitle would be. Captain America and Black Panther, and then the subtitle. I'm not sure, but I think I'm just going to call it King Captain Soldier Spy. I like that. I think it actually rolls off the tongue somehow. It's fun, it's goofy, and I'm down for it. Marvel's King Captain Soldier Spy.
I think a better title would be something like, how it's like Civil War, like something like that, but you have to sell this game, so Captain America and Black Panther will be the title. Like, I don't know what it will be, but I think something like
that'll
that.
Be in there.
You got to sell it, especially with this new studio. They gotta get those numbers right away. They got to make an impact. So
yeah, and a couple of things, just tidbits from the interviews. I would expect this game to have that Uncharted structure of going through mostly linear levels. Maybe you get a shortcut here or there, or some alternate route or something. But I think it'll be very much based on that. Like, I would not expect an open world or even larger open areas. I hope that Wakanda, we can do some sort of exploration. Or even if just those levels are non-combat focused, so you can just walk through the streets and stuff like that. I really hope we see something like that. But yeah, I'm very much down for this. I think it's a unique place. Unique setting, unique characters. So yeah, anything else you want to shout out about this one?
No, I'll be excited to see updates over time. I'm excited too because I guarantee they're going to do something similar to Avengers where they're going to be like, and we got so-and-so playing Steve Rogers because it's the Force. So I feel like, especially because like Nolan North became such a big deal with Uncharted, I feel like Amy's going to have some talent. Not saying like mass talent, but like you might get your favorite Troy Baker. I think they'll make a big what about for the who's playing the 4 or even Red Skull. That's what I think.
That's a good point, yeah. Okay, so moving on, there was, as we mentioned previously, a lot of mobile games announced. There was Marvel Strike Force, Marvel World of Heroes, which is the Niantic Pokemon Go-like, and then there was Marvel Snap, which is the kind of cardy one, and then there was Avatar Reckoning, which is like an MMO game that also has
Shooter.
large single player elements, but then also has like combat, but it is a mobile game. And then there's Disney Mirrorverse, which it sounds like, based on what Blessing was saying, that it maybe already is out and there's like a
I
new
think it is,
expansion.
yeah.
Yeah. So I've
Because they have
never heard of
toys
that
for it at
before.
Walmart. The only
Okay.
reason I know is because we were, of course, I got kids look at the toy section.
Right.
They got toys for all these characters, and I was bummed to learn it's just a mobile game because they have some really. If you were just to search the Disney Mirrorverse, they have some really cool like variants of characters. It would be like, I don't know, like volcanic Buzz Lightyear, like, and it'd be like,
that's fun.
It's like this doesn't make any sense. Or like Sully, they one time like Sully had like an Iron Man suit, and it's like,
Oh, I love that.
so that's where I was like, oh, I want to see this. Then it's like a game where it's like, okay, that's still cool, but I was hoping this was some show. So but yeah, it's been out for a little bit, and I think they're trying to push it to be a popular thing. So
Yeah. You were kind of trashing on Marvel Snap. That's the one that stood out to me the most. And I actually would like to try that. Now, I got to say, for a mobile game, like the card effects and stuff were pretty flashy that I feel bad that I don't think my little old phone here will be able to run that one too well. So maybe it's a case like Elder Scrolls Blades or Diablo Immortal where it's a mobile game, but you can also, like, they'll have a version on desktop or a version on Xbox, Switch, whatever it may be, because I'd like to try that one out. I just like to play around with those different characters. They showed some Fantastic Four, some X-Men, some regular Avengers, so you just got everyone in there, so it looks like fun. But moving on from there, let's go over to Disney Speedstorm. So I was expecting this game to show up because from what I remember when this was announced earlier this year, they said it was coming out in the summer. Now, maybe that was a beta that they were talking about, or maybe it was a full game. I don't really know, but summer has came and went, and I don't remember hearing anything about it. So
people played it, just not
Okay.
us, you know.
So yeah, maybe it was closed beta. Or
No, I'm
open
joking.
beta or
I don't think it
something.
was. I think the people that played it are the people making it and stuff like that. Yeah,
Okay, well, Espos was talking in the chat that he had it downloaded and was trying to boot it up, but then he couldn't run it. So I think it exists. Yeah, beta was in the summer apparently. Shout out to Fanboy Clay for that information. But yeah, I guess here we are. We still don't have a release date, which was the thing I was shocked about.
No.
It just says coming soon. They really highlighted the soon in a way that makes me think that it actually is soon instead of just like placeholder.
They did it
date.
like twice. They said
I
coming soon.
know,
And they had
right?
like a quick scene and like coming soon. Like they want to really tell us, no, like it's still coming. Don't worry. It's like,
Yeah.
is it? So yeah.
The stuff that looked new to me here was that I guess there's like a Monsters Inc. update, which is interesting to me that I feel like they don't have a lot of the basic IP in there, and now they're already kind of just going ham on specifically Monsters Inc. because I remember seeing Sully previously, but then they also showed Mike, Celia, and Randall here.
Celia took me off guard. I'm like, wow,
Yeah, you
Celia,
wouldn't
getting a
expect
deep
her.
roster. Yeah.
And then they also showed a Monsters Inc. level, which
Yep, that was
looks really cool. You have like the doors in the background. I was thinking, how cool would that be if there was like various shortcuts? If you go in
Oh,
different
that'd be
doors, you get like
awesome.
a short little sequence where
Yeah.
you're going through someone's
Or
house.
it pushes you back.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think that does exist, but it would be a cool idea.
That'd be really
and that
cool.
level looked really cool. So I do, coming really soon. I'm definitely checking this game out. It's free to play. Why not? I hope it's not savage with its free to play mentality, but I think it will be. But yeah, that was the only thing new I caught here, and we don't have a release date, so I don't know what else to say about it for now.
No, Mike, I think we talked about, I can't remember if it was a Game Awards or Summer Games Fest. Whenever it was first revealed, it looked
Yeah.
really fun then. It still looks very fun.
I think it was a Nintendo Direct actually. In like
Yeah, I think you're
March or
right.
something.
Yeah. And I was really bummed because I was really hoping we were going to get a pre-stream date for the charity life because I feel like this multiverse.
That'd be a good
There's another one I feel like that's coming. Oh, Outlaws Trials. That was the other one where it's
Ooh,
like all
okay.
these games are like, oh, this would be great for the stream and have like a good block of playing some new online games with each other. And for some reason, I don't think we're getting this game before the charity stream now. So that's a bummer. But I can't wait to play it with either you guys, but also just like to have the kids watch it and have some fun. So I think it's a cool idea. It's free. It's like, it's much like Mario where it's like, does it make sense back in the day why they're driving cars and stuff? No, but it doesn't care now. We're at Mario 8 and people love it. So cool. Do it, you know?
Yeah. Next up on the list is going to be Alien Dark Descent. I actually want to share my screen on this one.
Yeah.
Because there is just so much shit going on in this game. Like, look at this screenshot. Sorry for the audio listeners, but there is so much UI in this game.
Yeah.
It is insane. Where you have, it seems like your 4-man team. Each of them has like a thing at the bottom of the screen that has their gun,
Lots
their
of multitasking
health,
going on.
their names, percentages, and skills. And there's like turrets, I'm guessing, on the side here. There's different actions. There's all sorts of materials at the top. There's a map in the bottom right. There's a mission status. There is your like mission log in the top left. It is insane how much stuff is going on at any given time. But what did you think of this now that we got a little bit more gameplay to dig into here?
That was part of the reason I was disappointed, because I saw this. I'm like, oh, this looks really fascinating, and it ends very quickly. Like, I want to know more. I want to know exactly how it works, how many players, cross-platform stuff like that. Because here's another game where I think like, oh, we could have tons of fun with this. Like, it's already a franchise that we all like and stuff, but we had only known so little about. And like, yeah, that was what, maybe 15 seconds, and it's just like I'm very curious about this game. Again, there was no sort of it just felt odd of like, we're just gonna show this 10-15 second clip. It was strange to like just hold off till the big gameplay reveal, and for some reason I don't know why, but them just showing that quick of the snippet makes me worried about the game. I don't know why I should be, but there's just something about, why wouldn't you want your first big reveal to be like a huge, not a huge showcase, but like 5 minutes, like have people talk about it, or just like a real good slice. This just felt like an afternote. That felt like, it felt like a mobile game when they're like, oh, and check this out and check this out.
Yeah.
So I'm still very excited for it, but I need to see more, because I'm starting to get a little concerned about it.
Yeah, we were showing this one first at Summer Game Fest, and they had the CG trailer, and then they had like 5 seconds at the end of gameplay. So now we have 20 seconds gameplay in total across the two trailers. And yeah, it's hard to look at the whole vision. I wonder if I feel like they could be worried about it or something, or maybe it's super imbalanced right now or something. Now I gotta say, I was getting the vibe from this trailer, at least, that this game is not co-op. That was the vibe I was getting, and I just tried to Google it, and on the Steam page it just says single player. Now oftentimes they update that stuff later, so that might not be accurate, because they don't even have like controller support and stuff, so maybe that's just placeholder. But I was kind of getting the vibe that this is more of like a Fire Emblem XCOM, even like in terms of tactics, more zoomed out obviously, but you're controlling your 4 units. There obviously is that thing in the top right that shows like a pause, so I'm guessing you can slow down time and stuff depending on how things are going as you're picking your different actions. So to me it seemed like a very much, you're controlling your 4 units, you're giving them all different tasks, blocking certain doors and stuff. Now if there is co-op, I'm just really curious what that would look like in terms of how like slowing down time. That seems like something that would not work well in multiplayer. So yeah, obviously we need more information on this. If it is single player, like obviously this seems like it would have been a fun game to play with friends, but I'm into it. Like I was ragging on the UI there, but like that seems like the reason for that is because there's a lot going on in terms of mechanics and strategy and stuff like that. So it's in my wheelhouse of genre. So I'm still quite interested in this one. I just need I need more of a deep dive. Even honestly at this point, I want a developer interview. I want to hear them explain what the game is for 5 minutes on a Jeff Keighley stage. That's what I need right now from the game. I don't think another minute of gameplay would even necessarily answer some of those questions I have.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong about it looking likely like it's first person. That's not exactly a turnoff. It's a bit of a bummer, but it's not a turnoff. And some of the things you described there made it sound like a lot, because I haven't played the Fire Emblem games, but made it sound a lot like Battlefield Middle Earth, of just like the certain. So like that's one of my favorite games of all time. So that's where this could maybe get me in there. But at the same time, I need to see more to do, like, even like what is the price of this game and stuff like that and everything, right? So lots of questions, but I'm still got it on the keeping an eye on it list. So.
Travis, just a couple more on the list here for me. One, I think this is more just a quick shout out for me, but Illusion Island, which I love that name, but this is the Mickey Mouse platformer game where you have 4-player, this looks like co-op, 4-player platforming co-op. It seems like a Switch exclusive, which tracks, because I think there was that Disney Tsum Tsum Festival game, which was also like a Mickey Mouse thing that I believe was a Switch exclusive, so this tracks. Switch seems to want to pick these ones up. And yeah, you can play as Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Donald Duck. Maybe you'll unlock more. I don't know. But that's what they're showing off here. I'm not really that nostalgic for these characters from Disney. I also didn't love the art style, and it's probably going to be a little too simplistic for my liking, which is fine. This seems like maybe focused for a younger audience, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, this exists. What do you think about this? Is this one you'd pick up and play with the family?
Oh, there's a chance because Gwen's starting. She's 5. She's starting to get to that age now where she's curious. Like I think this weekend we're actually, because she slept in her bed 10 times in a row. That was the deal. That we're gonna be downloading the Paw Patrol game on Games Pass and trying that
yeah,
out.
I've seen that one on there.
Yeah, so I'm looking real forward to that. But like she's starting to
I think
get
there's
more.
a Peppa Pig game too. I don't know if your kids are into that
Oh
one.
yeah, and I showed them that Disney Valley trailer. I forgot that was on Games Pass too and stuff like
Right.
that. So Gwen's definitely starting to get the inklings of like I'd like to try this or find something. So this looks like it was cute enough. And I've always said this before. I don't understand. I get that they have Marvel and Disney or Star Wars and everything, but I feel like just the Mickey Mouse content has just gone away. Like, and I still feel like it's weird that he's all over their brand, but there hasn't even been like a Mickey Mouse movie, and like it's very odd.
Isn't that going public domain soon?
No, just Steamboat Willie, just Steamboat Mickey.
Okay.
So black and white Mickey on the boat. That is the
Okay.
after the rest of that they got smart and figured out. There's like certain trademarks that once you own
Sure.
them, but
Gotcha.
so Steamboat Willie, yeah, you're gonna see him in a horror movie very soon. But with Mickey, I'm always looking down, and this looked like it could be a fun time, and especially this is one, yeah, I would not buy, but I think it would come to a Games Pass, a PlayStation Plus Premiere, whatever it be, and I definitely
Well, it
probably
might be
will
Switch exclusive, so you might have to
Well,
buy
yeah,
it.
or Switch, that would be a good cheap Christmas present maybe down the line.
Sure.
It's not one that I need to spend the $60 for, but
Uh-huh.
now that the kids are getting older, I do actually have to watch out for these things because you got to find the good kind of base starter games. And this looks like
Yeah.
that could be that, especially with the multiplayer. That's fun because then I could be in there and stuff like that. So
They had like a couple fourth wall kind of jokes in there too.
Yeah, they
So I'm
did.
curious what the
TBD.
narrative of the game is going to be, or if that was just a trailer thing. Which
they're trying to escape
Yeah.
Disney erasing them. They're like, you're taking another.
watch out for Steamboat Willie.
Yeah.
The last game on my list here was Tron Identity. This is from Bithell Games, known for Subsurface Circular, Thomas Was Alone, which I played earlier this year, which was a great platformer. And John Wick Hex as well was their other IP thing that they did. I think that was 2 or 3 years ago at this point. This is a visual novel adventure. So for anyone who is seeing this and there's no gameplay and was thinking, ooh, maybe like a third-person action Tron game, no. Set those expectations very low. This is a
Yeah.
small indie studio. They make a lot of story-focused games. Subsurface Circular is one of them, where it's very, very much narrative-focused, branching paths, things like that. I think that's what this game is going to be. I think there's even a couple screenshots out there. You can see what the game looks like. And yeah, it's just like beautiful art of like, here's this environment and you're choosing dialogue options, and maybe there's simpler mini games and things like that as well. But yeah, I'd say if you were expecting anything other than that, maybe set those expectations nice and low. But Bithell Games is a great studio making cool stuff, so I think this is pretty neat. I'm not really a Tron guy personally, but what does this one do for you?
Yeah, so I feel like I don't have as much history with those games that you do, so I can't speak on the quality, but I think this is, I liked the art style, and I think this is like a fun world to explore and everything like that. So it's not something that I'm a Tron fan, but not enough where, I gotta play this. Like there's probably like the John Wick one even I'd play before that. I haven't even seen them all, but this felt very similar to the Dune situation where when I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, Tron, that's a great world. Like with the game, with the motorcycles, like that's a great world. You could do a lot of stuff in there. And I was like, oh, okay, they're doing that. But that good for that studio to get more IP because it get you on the like just more eyes on you, people talking about it. So this is not one I will be checking out, but I hope it's good and do something with the Tron IP, make some sort of money. But it was funny of not as big as a letdown as Dune. And I don't even know if I would have got it, but I just thought, this is great. And then this is what they're doing. But it sounds like people are kind of intrigued by it. So good for them.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're curious on the studio and what kind of games they make, their games are very inexpensive. I think I picked up Thomas Was Alone for like $8 on the Switch
There you
store.
go.
And, just a great little experience there. Great narrative and all that stuff. So yeah, anything that I did not bring up that was on your list I want to talk about?
No, you hit it because I wasn't sure if you were going to even talk about Alien just because it was so short and stuff like that. I figured, but no, everything that you had, you hit. And I was going to say too about the Marvel Snap thing. I didn't necessarily think that's bad because I enjoy card games. I liked Gwent. I liked the WWE game that's still going. I had to stop card games.
There's a WWE card game?
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's so huge that they put part of it into like the video
What's it
game.
called?
Oh, I think it's called Super Card. I think it's called Super Card.
Super Card.
And I won't say addicted, but close enough where you get in that routine of you got to check this every hour and all my lunch break do this. And I had to delete it because it was just one of these things of like, I don't have time in my life to keep dedicating to, and it was tons of fun. But so I get it, and this was like I could. Yep, that's it right there. I was so into getting the special cards, powering them up, fighting people online. Yeah, no, and that was my first. Before I never got card games, but because I'm a wrestling guy, I'm like, oh, I'll try it out. And I was like, oh, I get why people can get hooked.
What's this girl's name again?
Asuka.
She's so cool. That is so sweet. That green makeup.
Yeah. So no, I get that. Like, I think the game looked good. I just think the trailer made it look very very over the top nerdy, and I was like, you could market this a little bit better. But cool looking cards. But yeah, some good stuff to talk about. Hopefully, if we ever do this again, or if they do this again, be a bit better showcase. And I'm very excited to see what happens with King, Captain, Soldier, Spy in the future.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of Star Wars games on the horizon, tons of Marvel stuff. So hopefully the next one will be even bigger and brighter and better than this one. But yeah, this is a nice short and sweet episode of Sidequest. Like we said, we'll be back on the regular scheduled Tuesday for some more Ubisoft Forward coverage. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Travis, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun. And we'll be back tomorrow for some D23 action. So make sure to join that live stream or check the podcast later, as will be a jam-packed weekend. So thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.